gate, girl, tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a beautiful day here today at Driftland UK Virtual. We are here for round 4 of SVDS, the Scottish Virtual Drift Series. We hope you're ready for a good one today. Our top 32 competition is shaping up to be a good one. Lots of great drivers. You already know them, but you are going to see them here today. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful time here, and I think we're going to have a great time here at SVDS Round 4. So, we do have a small announcement. We are going to be telling you guys that Series 2 is coming. Make sure to head over to www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com for that. So make sure to head over to www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com. We do still have full season tickets as well as single round tickets, so make sure to get in while you still can. They do sell out quickly. The website did go live a little while ago, but we are still halfway sold out. So if you want your spot, make sure to get in there early. But first up, for our very first battle of Top 32, is not going to be a battle. We actually have a buy run, as Russell Jones has not shown up. So Dan Paul here is going to be sending this glorious 180SX around our track for today. So treat this as a little track preview as you get to see what this layout looks like. Definitely going to be one hell of a run here. As you can see, the lights go on and they go green. We see Dan Paul head out for his bye run to show you guys what the layout looks like today into that first outside zone. Nicely done. Coming up the hill. Should be getting into that outside zone, but coming into this outside section. Beautiful job coming down the hill over the bump. A very harsh transition for these guys, but definitely going to be an interesting one to see. Coming down into the decel zone. Nicely done. Big angle around here into this outside clip here. Nicely done. Big angle from him into that second decel zone just to get your car settled. It's not too big of one, but it's going to be one to watch out for as he comes around at the finish of the run to show us what our track looks like for today. Dan Paul. And today, too, as well, I am joined by a special guest co-commentator. This is TSF Beard. You guys might know him from TSF and the competitions that they run from here to there. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Beard.
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad I could make it in as a guest commentator on this stream today. Excited to see how these driver lineups stack up. We've already seen how the layout is and who's paired up with who, and it's going to make for some pretty interesting battles, and it's going to be an exciting event today.
Absolutely, especially considering we are now moving on to our second battle of today's competition. We have Josh Byrne versus Kian Reddy. Going to be a very good battle. We've seen Kian Reddy be a very competent competitor here. He is definitely one hell of a driver. So is Josh Byrne. So it's going to be good to see these guys go at each other and see who's going to move on to the top 16. Our first real battle of today after that last bye run by Dan Paul. Very, very good run to look at, but it's even better to look at a battle. So we're going to see these guys go at it here. Kian Reddy and Josh Byrne. Definitely going to be an awesome run to see. As you can see, they're going to line up here at the cones, giving the judges a little bit of a thumbs up there as Kian Reddy. As we have Josh Byrne lined up in the lead position, and Kian Reddy in that chase position in his S14, going to be making a quick little adjustment, make sure he's good and lined up. And once again, you'll see the tree go red, and then it'll go green, and these drivers will take off for your first battle of top 32. Here we go. Lights go red, lights go green. Josh Byrne in the lead position, with Kian Reddy in the chase position now. Josh Byrne, big initiation, looking really solid in that outside clipping zone. Nicely done, coming up the bank. Kian Reddy now putting the pressure on, but falling back just a little bit, trying to drop that angle and get up onto the door for Josh Byrne. Josh Byrne coming through this section into the decel zone. Big angle coming down that hill, but a little bit of a correction as Kian Reddy uses it to get up onto the door of Josh Byrne. Josh Byrne throwing down a beautiful lead line from this section here with Kian Reddy nosing in onto the door. A beautiful job for our first battle of the top 32. This is shaping up to be a good one. What do you think, Beard?
Good job on Chase Driver. I mean, I know that first embankment is difficult. I've ran it myself, and just being able to get up and maintain on that door. He wasn't quite close, but I mean close enough. And at the very end of the second half of the track, really closed in that gap and literally pushing lead driver around those last couple zones.
Absolutely, definitely an intense battle so far. So now we're going to be switching them up. Kian Reddy going to be in the lead position, with Josh Byrne now in the chase position. You'll see the light tree go on. It'll go green, and these guys will send it for the second half of this battle. It's going to be really interesting to see how Josh Byrne can keep up in the chase. You can see Kian Reddy was definitely quick in his lead run and was able to keep the proximity. So will it be a case of Kian pulling a gap or not? That'll be the question for sure. And here we go, they're off. And into the initiation zone, nicely done by Kian Reddy, throwing a beautiful lead line so far with Josh Byrne right up on the door of the chase position, but falls off on the bank. Definitely a difficult position to keep that proximity, but coming down the straightaway section, coming down into the decel zone, Kian, big angle coming down the hill, but also has to make a correction similar to Josh Byrne here, where Byrne is trying to get up onto the side of Kian Reddy's S14. Beautiful job on that transition with Josh Byrne trying to put the pressure on now, rubbing the door, finishing out the run strong. Both of these drivers, man, that was one hell of a battle. What do you think, Beard?
I know very similar runs, but I noticed the lead driver, I don't remember everyone's name, but lead driver on second run kind of shallowed a little bit on that first clip, which kind of put that gap, causing Chase Driver to really shallow angle to try and keep up. But the Chase Driver did a good job being able to maintain and make those corrections where they're needed. And then again, closing up the door at the last second half of the track. I think that's where we're going to see most of our action is after they come off that bank, transitioning across the decel zone is where we're going to see a lot of Chase drivers catching back up, and where a lot of the harsh decisions are going to be made.
Absolutely, but here we go. We're taking it to our judges' screen. Slide him left for Josh Byrne and slide him right for Key and Reddy. That's 1, 2, and 3 in a unanimous decision. Josh Byrne takes the win and is going to be moving on to our top 16, where Key and Reddy is going to be putting it back on the trailer and unfortunately heading home for the day. Next up, we have a battle between Connor Aspel and Eridas Sadowskis. Now, I'm not sure if Aspel made it here today, so it might be a bye run, but we'll take it to them in just a moment here and see who lines up. And it's going to be a bye run for Mr. Sadowskis here. Here we go. Sadowskis throwing it down nice and decent in that first outside clipping zone, coming up the bank nice and aggressive in that BMW E46. Nicely done around that outside zone, coming down the bank nice and aggressive here in that E46, looking really solid as Sadowskis here. Ooh, a little bit of a checkup on that wall, but this is a good chance to get some practice considering you cannot possibly lose a bye run. So he's now knowing what he's going to be looking for on that wall, because that mistake could cost him a battle if he did it in a battle. But moving on to our top 16 via bye run is Mr. Sadowskis. Next up, we have Lewis Monks versus Benjamin Ricarde. Beautiful, beautiful 1M BMW from Mr. Benjamin here. A really nice looking car. And Lewis Monks in his S15, that Kazama Auto S15, that Vellino tires. Looking really, really solid out there. Two very good looking cars, two very, very talented drivers. So it's going to be really cool to see who does the better run here. Here we go. You can see Mr. Lewis Monks. He's up at the line, ready. Has done his little tire warm-up. Ricarde going to do his too in that BMW 1M, a build that you don't actually see very often these days. It's a interesting build. I feel like a lot of people are, just kind of coming on to that chassis as a good drift car. So hopefully it's a little bit underrated right now with Benjamin. Hopefully going to be able to put down a good chase run here. But with Lewis Monks now in the lead position, you see the lights go green. And oh, it looks like Ricarde slept on the line. Lewis Monks taking off. Beautiful job into that initiation here with Benjamin. Going to have to try and play a bit of game of catch-up here. Up on the wall. Nice and deep, though, is Lewis Monks. Look at that. Beautiful job on the bank into that outside clipping zone. Nicely done with Benjamin cutting the line to keep up. And, oh, into the wall. Oh, it is unfortunate when you see drivers go into the wall like that, especially when you're trying to push just so hard for those inches, and especially not having the greatest start like Benjamin did there with him sleeping on the line. Now, we'll have to see what the judges decide, because it could possibly be a rerun, but if you see Lewis Monks here line up in the chase, then that'll be, then they'll just take that and they'll keep it going here. But going to get ready to send them here for their second half of the run, it looks like, with Lewis Monks down in the chase and Benjamin in the lead. We're going to hope that Benjamin doesn't sleep this time. You see the lights go red and the lights go green. Here we go. Oh, Lewis Monks taking off early with Benjamin, trying to stay in that lead position. Nicely done on that outside clip, coming up onto the bank. Beautiful job, nice big angle, but coming just shy of that outside zone up on the bank. Lewis Monks trying to cut the line, trying to keep up in that proximity, but he knows he's got a decent advantage having Benjamin touch the wall there. And it looks like another big correction from Benjamin Ricarde coming around the outside clipping zone. Big transition here through the little decel zone with Lewis Monks just trying to get up onto the door, but can't seem to find the proximity. It's possible that he's doing it to just secure his win and not get a zero. What do you think there, Beard?
It looks like Falvey just playing it cautious, seeing multiple mistakes from lead driver. It just looks like lead driver just nerves got the best of him. I know I've been in that situation before, and just you get those last minute jitters right before a run, and sometimes when you get to the line, that light goes green, you get into the zone. Other times you just nerves get the best of you, and that's just what it seems like with that lead driver.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just freeze up, and a lot of pressure on our drivers to do the best that they can. So sometimes you make a mistake, and unfortunately that'll lead to sometimes a battle loss. So swiping left for Lewis Monks, and I think we know where this is going, and the judges confirm it. Lewis Monks moves on to the top 16, and we'll be moving on to our next group of drivers.
Yeah, nerves don't get better whether you're it's a big comp or a small Sunday fun day comp. Like, no matter what it is, nerves always play a factor.
Absolutely. Definitely something to watch out for. I know I've fallen victim to it before as a competitor myself in some other series. It's definitely, you get that heart pumping feeling where you feel like your whole body's moving with your heart there. And, oh, man, sometimes it just gets the better of you.
The worst is when your legs jitter.
Absolutely. When you're throttle blipping when you don't mean
Yep.
to.
Yes, exactly.
Do 1,000 runs in practice, and you can have the best runs as possible. But the second you get into competition, those nerves hit, and you feel like you've forgotten how to drive.
That happened to me this last Sunday in our little TSF Sunday Fun Day. We're doing Rapuna and throwing down solid 90-point runs back to back to back, and then it gets into competition. I smack a wall, and I'm like, why? Why did I do that? Just nerves. That's all it is. A little Sunday Fun Day means nothing, but just fun with your friends, and just nerves get the best of you. There's that competitive edge in all of us.
For sure, for sure. And sometimes, man, sometimes it's just getting lost in the sauce. I know a couple of times just because of the nerves, I'm throwing it a lot harder than I normally do. And I've had those problems where, sometimes you throw it just a little bit too hard and you toss that backy that you probably shouldn't have. And you end up getting crashed into, or you make a big mistake and hit a wall or something. So definitely unfortunate for Mr. Benjamin there, but definitely going to be awesome to see Lewis Monks move forward against Sadowskis. That's going to be one hell of a battle in the top 16. But so far we have Dan Paul in the top 16, as well as Josh Byrne, Sadowskis, and Lewis Monks in that next battle for top 16. So we're going to be moving on to our second group of drivers to see who moves on. And here we go. We have William Holloway versus Daniel Andrejab. Andrejab, a robot of our series. He is a very, very consistent driver. With William Holloway in that KMR MX-5, definitely a very aggressive driver as well. But it'll be interesting to see if he can handle that little MX-5 with the competitiveness, the dominance that is that S15 of Daniel Andrejab. It'll be very interesting to see for sure.
This was one of those exciting battles that I was talking about in the intro. Just these two drivers going at it.
Absolutely, but here we go. Daniel Andrejab in the lead position with William Holloway in the chase. A big flick initiation from an Andrejab with William Holloway putting the aggression on nice and early. Look at that, getting the proximity, but dropping down a little bit low here is that MX-5 with Andrejab running a beautiful lead line. Nice and decent in the outside touch and go into the D-cell zone. Now you see the little Holloway making a big lunge up for the door in that MX-5 with Andrejab throwing down a textbook lead line. I mean, you could rip this right out of a college textbook, and it'll probably say the exact same thing here, because Andrejab is just a robot. Holloway, though, very aggressive in the chase. Beard, what do you think?
Looks like Holloway on that bank was struggling. Either car's too gripped up or he's struggling a little bit on power, which is why he dropped down a little low. The rest of it looked great, but I'm curious to see how the flip side go with Holloway in the lead.
Absolutely, and Andrejab definitely a monster in the chase. He throws down a good lead, but you can't count him out for the chase here. As you can see, big initiation from William Holloway. Nice and decent in those first touch and goes here. And into the wall goes William Holloway. Oh man, that is just unfortunate.
That's a bummer. That's a huge bummer. I was really excited to see those two go at it and have a solid, good lead and chase on both of them. That would have made for some really tough judging.
Absolutely, and it's super sad to see William Holloway go out so early with such a small mistake. Sometimes you just push too hard. Definitely not the result they'd probably be looking for here, going out in the 32. But we'll see what the judges say about it. I think we kind of know where this is going, but I mean, it's up to the judges for sure. Maybe they saw something that we didn't, but William Holloway, I mean, it's going to be hard to overlook that wall hit there, especially zeroing the run.
Lining up to be a good run. I mean, you saw Daniel attacking Holloway just like Holloway did on him and setting up into the wall. They were both very similar, and it just would have been, I think it would have come down to if they would have both completed, would have come down to that top outside zone, whether if Daniel was able to keep it in while in chase or if he would have fall shallow like William Holloway did. But
For sure. But Daniel Andrejab, all three judges voting for him as he'll be moving on. Unfortunately, not the result that William Holloway wanted this weekend, with that KMR Mazda Trix MX-5 being loaded back up onto the trailer and headed home, which is unfortunate. I mean, that's got to be one of the cooler cars of this season. I mean, that turbo 3-rotor pushing over 1,000 horsepower. That MX-5 is definitely a little rocket ship if driven properly, but unfortunately, the nerves seem to have just gotten to him just a little bit too much. But yeah, and you'll see, I believe, that we do not have Kevin Schwartz here, so I think Chris Kessler here is going to get a bye run. Now watch this, man. If you want to talk about robots of this season, Chris Kessler, definitely one of them, knows how to put down a consistent lead in chase, but you'll only get to see his lead for now until we get to top 16. Chris Kessler going to get ready to send it for his bye run. And it's 14, definitely a sick-looking car, but here we go. Coming out of that start chicane, ready to send it here. Beautiful initiation, looking deep onto that outside line here, looking good up, coming up to the wall, getting into this outside zone, railing on the angle, coming down off the bank. Beautiful job into that touch and go here, looking good around these outside clips. Big send into that downhill section. You love that entry because it just lets you get all the angle you want. Look at that. Beautiful into that touch and go through the decel zone into that next little clipping zone here, and finishing out the run strong is Chris Kessler for his bye run. Hey, there was no reason to go that hard, Chris. Come on now. It's a bye run.
I mean, you were right talking about a robotic run. I mean, that was probably one of the cleaner runs we've seen thus far in the competition. I mean, just hitting every zone, being exactly where you need to be, running the line how it's supposed to be run.
For sure, for sure. But it looks like we might have another bye run here with Kogan Cavish not showing up. So Brendan Stacy is going to get to go for a solo run as well. Now, I've always been partial to bye runs. I've always liked them. And while they're not as exciting to watch, it's always nice to get that extra lap of practice before you really go in for a battle, you know? It's kind of like the, you know, you take your practice and then you go into briefing. So, like, it always kind of causes that, like, you know, feeling of you've stopped for a while. And when you get back into competition, sometimes it can feel alien because you've taken that break and gone to briefing and waited for your battle. So it's always good to get a bye run as, like, an extra refresher, you know?
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. And you can see him using it to his fullest extent as he's doing a beautiful run here. Look at that. A beautiful job here from Brendan Stacy in that beautiful vehicle as he finishes out his bye run. Nicely done. And now we'll be moving on to Jacob Klinger and Simon Sandman. Now, Simon Sandman, a big name after last round, having gotten into that podium there and doing a beautiful job in that S15. With Jacob Klinger, definitely a wild card, being as young as he is, but being as talented as he is. Jacob Klinger in that Corvette looking really, really solid. So he'll be in the lead with Sandman taking that little step back to make sure that he has the speed after the launch there. Definitely a tactic we've seen used before, but he's going to try and use it to his fullest extent to keep up with the rapidness that is that C6 Corvette of Jacob Klinger. Definitely a beautiful lineup of cars here at the line. This is going to be awesome to see. Jacob Klinger, Simon Sandman. Two very, very talented drivers. And here we go. We should be getting ready to send them any moment now. And here we go. Jacob Klinger in the lead position. Simon Sandman in the chase position. Here we go. Klinger ready to send it. Nice, decent entry. Getting that second hash mark there on that outside clip. Coming up the bank. Big angle, but has to reel some out of it. Simon Sandman taking advantage and reeling him in, but losing him a little bit coming down off the bank. Nice and tight bumper-to-bumper transition, though, from Sandman. Beautiful job here from Klinger in the lead position with Sandman making a couple of little mistakes. He's going to want to clean this up to make sure that he keeps an edge out over him, especially in the chase position. But you can see he falls back a little bit with Jacob Klinger. Oh, and a bit of contact.
Now, it's really exciting to see the progression of Jacob. He was on TSF for a short time. And we still love the kid. He's a great driver, and just seeing where his progression, where he's come from and where he's at now, the kid's got a lot of potential. And it's really interesting to watch his progression as he becomes a really good competition driver.
Absolutely. It's so good to see this young talent and come in and, you know, refine their skills and refine their talent and make sure to, you know, they get better with every time they drive, and it's super cool to watch. As you can see, Jacob Klinger going to be going in for the chase run on Simon Sandman. Sandman throwing a beautiful lead run with Klinger. Oh, bit of a mistake here. Not quite going straight, but definitely shallowing up on the angle, but keeping up with Mr. Sandman. Bumper to bumper transition from that C6 Corvette, launching up, going a little bit shallow here, trying to stay on the door of Simon Sandman. Now Jacob Klinger has the proximity better than Sandman did, but will the sloppiness be what is his downfall? I mean, finishing out the run strong are both drivers, but man, definitely some rougher moments in that battle, Beard.
This will be interesting on how the judges call it. I mean, it could really go either way. I mean, with the lunges Jacob made, But then you got, I mean, keeping that to be able to keep that proximity, and then also just the cleanness of the lead driver's run. It'll be an interesting call. It'll definitely be an interesting call between the two.
Absolutely.
And you can't count out the little bit of contact right before the finish line. It's how heavy are the judges going to judge that little bit of contact?
Absolutely. Definitely some mistakes from both drivers, with Sandman not quite having as much proximity as Klinger did, but Klinger had to make a couple of big line sacrifices to have said proximity, as you can see there on the right with him making his big lunge there. So it'll be interesting to see which way the judges go. It could go either way, or it could go OMT. Keep that in mind too.
It really comes down to what the judges are looking for. Are they looking for that commitment to proximity, or are they looking for that commitment to smoothness and stability and consistency in the chase position?
Absolutely. Definitely tough call. I wouldn't want the judges' job at the moment. I'd say that this one would be a difficult one to decide, but look at that. Beautiful vehicles. Look at Jacob Klinger. He's got his hood and his trunk open, showing off that beautiful C6 Corvette model and livery too. That car has always looked really nice too, and I really appreciate how good that C6 Corvette looks. Definitely a different style than I've seen on a lot of them.
That definitely is a clean car.
Absolutely. We can't ignore her. Yeah. Alrighty, we'll swipe him left or swipe him right. Left for Klinger, right for Simon Sandman, and we'll see what the judges decide, and that's unanimous. Simon Sandman gets the lead, so I guess Jacob Klinger's mistakes were a little bit bigger to overweigh any of the mistakes that Sandman made. So, Sandman moving on to our top 16, and we are going to be moving on to a bit of a short ad break while we load in our next group.
tonight.
None of them boy, they no bad. None of them boy, they no bad. None of them boy, they no bad. Batman still forward.
That ad break, we're getting ready to send our next group of drivers for the top 32. Going to be very interesting to see who pulls up here. You'll see Titus Fong versus Jackson Lay. Very, very impressive drivers. Titus definitely not driving Jacob Klinger's Corvette, but hey, it's going to be all right. We see these guys lined up. Two very, very impressive drivers. So Titus and Jackson, both very, very talented drivers. I cannot wait to see how this battle shapes up. Going to be very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. We're going to get ready to send them here out of that start chicane here. Titus and Jackson. Very, very good here with Jackson Lay sleeping on the line just a little bit. Mentioned to catch up here with Titus throwing down a beautiful lead line. Nicely done in that outside zone. Here we go, up on that wall, looking really good here with Jackson Lay trying to get up onto the door here, but losing out a little bit of ground coming into this straight section. Big angle here from Titus. Oh, but tapping the wall just a little bit, messing up his line coming down the hill here with Jackson Lay trying to stay up onto the door of him here. Looking beautiful, though, is Titus throwing down the rest of his lead line. Nice and done here with Jackson Lay looking beautiful in the chase position. My words got tangled up there. It happens. Sometimes, you know, happens sometimes where you just can't quite get the words out fast enough. But Bear, what do you think about that first half of the battle?
Pretty good. I mean, it looks like Lay in the chase position was just struggling to keep proximity, struggling to keep grip and keep up. And I mean, that's the big issue when you're running a big bank track like this to a flat section. It's really hard to tune the car to get that even balance.
For sure. But here we go for the second half of the battle. Lay in the lead position with Titus in the chase position. Oh, big lunge with contact coming up the bank, unfortunately. Oh, man, you hate to see it. You hate to see the big contact in the zeros here, but, oh, man, just getting messy here. They're going to go back down to the waiting area and just wait for the judges to make a decision. It's unfortunate when you see big contact like that. Messing up a battle, because we do love to see, you know, a full battle, full tandem, but unfortunately sometimes some drivers just make their mistakes. You know, it happens. We're all human. We all make mistakes. But very good. It's been a good event so far, honestly. I've been enjoying some of the battles that have been showing up here. You can see the replay here of the run. Jackson Lay throwing a decent initiation, but you can see Titus getting too tight up onto that transition here as Lay goes into the wall because of it. Unfortunately, Beard. I mean, what do you think of that? Because this is
It just looks
unfortunate.
like Titus just got a little too aggressive. It looks like Lath did throw a lot of angle. I don't know if he would have been able to make that second zone, but yeah, he was throwing Lay was throwing a lot of angle. I don't know if he would have been able to connect it all the way out. Again, I don't know his tune, but on the other flip side, it looks like just Titus was being a little bit too aggressive.
For sure, the judges are going to be looking at this very closely to see who was at fault for that contact. Definitely going to be an interesting call for them, and I do not envy the judges when it comes to decisions like this, because you got to look at every little bit. Was Jackson Lay slowing down too much? Was Titus too aggressive? It's a whole balancing game over what's going on here, so it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with the call. But look at these two very beautiful vehicles. Look at that. That A90 Supra of Titus and that S14 of Jackson Lay, two very, very stunning looking cars with some very nice paint jobs, might I add. I love looking at a good paint job when it comes to a car, or wrap job, I guess. Paint isn't really the right word. Two very good looking vehicles here, and two great drivers who just stumbled at the start here, unfortunately. But we're going to be getting ready to show us what the judges decide soon here. But so far, you can see how our top 16 bracket is shaking up. We have Dan Paul and Josh Byrne, Eridas Sadowskis and Lewis Monks, Daniel Andrejab and Chris Kessler, Brendan Stacy and Simon Sandman. Very, very good drivers. Absolutely a stacked top 16 layout so far. And we're going to be seeing who these guys are in just a moment, who's going to be moving on to the top 16 out of this battle. Definitely a tough call for the judges here. Absolutely. Next up, we have Owen Magner and Mr. Brandon Carter afterwards. So it's going to be good to see that battle, but still waiting on a call here to see who takes the win between Mr. Titus Fong and Jackson Lay. Two very, very good drivers. Unfortunately, made their mistakes, and it might cost him a battle win. But it happens, eh? Right, Beard? It happens. Everybody makes mistakes.
It's moments like these why I'm not a judge. These are just really difficult, and there's a lot of stress and pressure on the judges to make the right calls.
Absolutely, especially when you're dealing with the public like this, and everybody gets to see and form their own opinions on how things should go and how things happen. Everybody gets heated. Everybody understands that there's a lot of pressure here, and some people might feel that it's a wrong call or a good call, but at the end of the day, these judges definitely do have the hardest job out of them all. So here we go. We're going to be seeing them, and it looks like all three judges are saying a one more time between these two drivers. Going to be great to see them go at it and hopefully make up for their mistakes and put down a good battle. Titus Fong and Jackson Lay. It's going to be awesome to see these guys go at it again, and we're glad that they got a chance to. And here we go. They're lined up again with Titus in the lead position and Jackson in the chase position. Both of these guys, very good drivers. Spinning those wheels is Jackson Lay. He's already getting ready to take off so much that he's already spinning those wheels.
See if Jackson Lay can make up that proximity and make up for the errors he made in the first runs that they had, and see if he's able to get a little bit closer to that door.
Alrighty, here we go. Titus in the lead position with Jackson Lay in the chase. Here we go. Titus nice and decent to that first outside clipping zone, coming up the bank with Lay, putting on the pressure, but falling back to this outside zone, but now coming down the bank. Very aggressive is Titus, throwing down a really nice lead line. Big transition coming down the hill. Look at that big angle with Jackson Lay falling off, but dropping tires and making that mistake is Titus. Man, that is unfortunate, especially for a lead driver when you've got all the clean air in the world and still making that mistake. Unfortunately, that could lead to a big advantage for Mr. Jackson Lay, as it seems like Mr. Titus might have made that mistake entirely on his own, unfortunately. But lining up again are these two drivers, and we're going to get ready to send them once more. There we go. Alrighty, we're going to get ready to send him for the second half here. Titus and Jackson, both very, very talented drivers. Here we go. Lights go red, lights go green, and here we go. Jackson Lay in the lead position with Titus in the chase position now. Let's see if we can keep it clean, boys. Jackson Lay looking really good coming up the bank here. Quite a lot faster than he was before, going around the outside zone. Nice and decent. Big angle coming down the hill from Mr. Lay here with Titus just trying to keep up in the chase position, coming down the straightaway section. Big send into that downhill section from Mr. Lay with Titus getting a little bit phased here, dropping angle, trying to keep the proximity, cuts the line, gets up onto the door, and makes another big mistake. Oh man, Beard, that is unfortunate for him because making those 2 mistakes, I mean, I think we know which way this battle's going.
Unfortunately, this again with just nerves. I mean, he made that zeroed out his first run by dropping 2 tires off into that dirt and just going into the chase. Just really nerves has got the better of him, trying to be aggressive, realizing that that Lay was pulling on him a little bit, trying to catch up, and just closing the door and attacking at the wrong spot, causing him to over angle and stall that car in that last transition. I know I've been there myself a couple times.
For sure. Unfortunately, sometimes when you're pushing this hard, you sometimes push too much, and it seems that might have been the case for Mr. Titus there. So we're going to be taking to the judges here, and that's there it is. That's exactly what we thought would happen. Jackson Lay unanimously gets the win and is going to be moving on to our top 16. So next up, we should have Owen Magner and Brandon Carter. 2 very, very impressive drivers. Magner and Carter, two good drivers. Mr. Carter, I know personally, he's a great guy, and if you guys have checked out any of our after round videos, it's all Brandon Carter doing the work for that. He gets the clips and he puts those videos together, and he does a fantastic job. So let's see if he can drive half as good as he edits videos. He should be a pretty fierce opponent. Here we go. We're going to be getting ready to line them up here. Mr. Magner and Brandon Carter. Again, 2 very talented drivers. Carter knocking on the door of Magner and being like, hey, are you coming? We got a battle, buddy.
You awake?
Yeah, you awake over there? We got a battle. He said it's time to go. Let's go. S15 versus S15. Both of these guys choosing a very dominant chassis. I mean, I think we're getting word too. It seems that Owen Magner has called a 5-minute break. He might have something to address or fix with his setup. It's possible, but calling that 5-minute, we're going to be taking a break, and I believe we're going to be moving on here to Mr. Millet. Mr. Millet and Porter Stewart Holmes, two also very talented drivers. I mean, everybody in this series is talented. I think I've said it about everybody so far, but I mean, everybody here definitely pushing for those inches, trying to gain the favor of the judges. We got some very, very impressive guys coming, but here we go. Justin Millet and Porter Stewart Holmes, 2 very, very good drivers and 2 very good-looking cars too. I'm loving the look of that GT86. I mean, I've always been partial to a nice blue color myself, but I mean, that livery just utilizes it so nicely. Look at that carbon drift team, Sailing Tires, Mr. Porter Stewart Holmes, and Justin Millet in his A90 Supra. That Legacy Tandems vehicle looking really good as well. Beard, what do you think of these cars? They're pretty sick, right?
I love seeing like all the different varieties of liveries that these drivers have on their cars. It's not just all one style like you see in some other competitions. Just the difference of variety is just amazing. See, some have more of a retro look, some have more of an aggressive look, some are just super clean like this GT86.
Absolutely. Some very, very, very nice cars showing up to SVDS round 4 here. And keep in mind, while we're talking about it, we do have Series 2 tickets going live here, and I'll tell you more about it after this battle finishes here. Look at this. Beautiful job from Justin Millet with Porter Stewart Holmes falling back just a little bit, having to lunge up, trying to get the proximity on the bank, and Millet goes into the wall. Oh, man, that is just unfortunate. A lot of guys falling victim to this wall. I mean, hey, you know what? It has got to be one of the more difficult banks I've ever seen being competed on. So it's no surprise that some drivers are falling victim to it. I mean, that wall is just deadly when you get up towards it. I mean, you hit it, and sometimes the run is just over. There's no fighting it.
There's absolutely no forgiveness in that wall.
Absolutely not. But once again, like I was mentioning before, Series 2 tickets are live. We are about halfway sold out. So if you want to get them, head over to www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com. And here we go. Porter Stewart Holmes in the lead position at GT86 with Justin Millet trying to catch up, but losing quite a bit of ground as Porter Stewart Holmes takes it and runs with it. And oh, Justin Millet spins out on the bank. Porter Stewart Holmes going to be continuing his lead run here. He's got to finish it to seal this victory here. But looking really solid coming down the hill, coming into this outside zone. Nice big angle on that GT86. Nicely done. A beautiful run so far here for Porter Stewart Holmes and finishing out strong for what I believe should be a battle win for him. He'll be definitely happy about that, but it'll be the judge's decision ultimately if he moves on to the top 16 for sure. But I think with those two big mistakes from Mr. Millet there, I think it's pretty set in stone here. What do you think, Beard?
It seems like Millet might have been having Justin might have been having some technical difficulties. It's not normally like him to spin out like that because on his chase position, chase run, he got lunged on initiation, and then coming up to that outside zone on the embankment, he got gapped and then overspun, and it's just really odd. There's no contact with the wall that I saw, and just spun for looked like no reason. It looks like he might have been having some technical difficulties.
Absolutely. And it looks like the judges have confirmed that, as all three have sided with Mr. Porter Stewart Holmes. He'll be moving on to our top 16, and I believe that means we're going to be moving on to Dominic Bergmanus and Jason Cote. Either that, or we might be seeing our one more time battle between, or not one more time, sorry, but Owen Magner and Brandon Carter. It'll be interesting to see who comes up next. It should be Dominic Bergmanus and Jason Cote, but keep in mind that Owen Magner did call that 5-minute earlier, so depending on when he wants to, whatever that 5-minute call ends, he might be coming to compete once more. But Dominic Bergmanus and Jason Cote, also two very, very good drivers. I mean, I've seen both of them go at it, and they are some of the more aggressive drivers I've seen, especially with Bergmanus driving that A80 Supra, to a very, very interesting car to pick. It seems to be a popular pick these days. A lot of people switching over to that A80 Supra. Thank you, Zach O'Sullivan, because I swear to God, that man is the reason. But everybody seems to enjoy the A80 Supra, especially considering that the Forza Horizon 5 dropping those FD cars. A lot of them are being brought over to AC because they are really good models. But here we go, Mr. Dominic Bergmanus and Jason Cote. Cote in that E36 chasing in Bergmanus. Bergmanus looking really good up on that bank, pulling a gap on Mr. Cote. Cote dropping angle, trying to get back up onto that A80 Supra. Beautiful job here from Mr. Bergmanus, though, looking really solid through here. Let's see how he does coming down the hill. Big angle with Cote going off the track. Oh, that is just unfortunate. We hate to see it. We hate to see drivers zeroing out their runs, where Bergmanus definitely pulling ahead with a beautiful advantage, finishing out this run in that A80 Supra. What a beautiful model that is, man. It is really nice to look at. Even though it's got no livery, it's still a good car to look at.
Those Forza models coming over, I mean, just how incredibly detailed those cars are. They're absolutely gorgeous. I've seen a few of them myself, been able to drive a few of them. They're just absolutely gorgeous.
For sure. But here we go. We're going to be setting up here for the flip side here. Bergmanus now in the chase with Jason Cote in the lead run. We're going to see how they do that E36, pulling an early gap, looking nice and decent in that first touch and go. Coming up the bank, though, Bergmanus putting the pressure on, but falling back just a little bit, coming down off the bank with Jason Cote just trying to throw down a good lead run. Big transition here into that downhill section, but might have tapped the wall or just might have understeered just a little bit as he drops quite a bit of angle, and Bergmanus just trying to stay behind him and follow the lead run he's given, and he's making a little bit of corrections, possibly straightening up there, but finishing out the run strong are both of these drivers. Looks like
Bergmanus just playing it cautious in the chase position, knowing he had the advantage going into that second run, with Jason making that unfortunate mistake in his lead.
Absolutely, but they're having a good time with it, doing those twinning donuts. Love to see them. Love to see these guys with good attitudes, even after possibly making a battle-costing mistake. It'll be interesting to see how these guys do here. But we're going to be check out the side-by-side replay so you can see what went down in both of these runs. You can see in the lead run here of Bergmanus, you can see Mr. Cote falling back off of the door, but making sure to gain that proximity near the end. But you can see right here is where he makes the mistake. He goes in thinking he's got the grip, but throws it too hard onto the door of Bergmanus and ends up falling off into the dirt, unfortunately. Thankfully, we saw nobody flip over this time. I mean, we've had those issues at Driftland before, not here in the virtual one, but I think we all know who I'm referring to, unfortunately. But thank goodness it didn't happen this time with Bergmanus. Also throwing down pretty good runs here. You can see on the right his chase run. Falling back off a little bit off the bank, it seems like that's a pretty common place for people to actually lose proximity, which is interesting considering downhill you should be gaining more speed. So it's possible he was just checking up, but you can see through here with the interesting line he was given by Cote, you can see that he was losing a bit of that angle there, so that could also be a contributing factor, but I think it might not be enough to outweigh the 0 from Jason Cote. What do you think, Beard?
It just looks like Jason losing proximity on that upper bank, trying to make up for it on that downhill. Looks like he just carried a little bit more momentum than what he was used to going into that decel zone, which would just end up throwing him right off track. And then, Bergmanus just playing it safe, playing it cautious, doing exactly what needed to get done without being too aggressive in the chase position.
For sure, but here we go. The judges are going to say, oh, it's a one more time, so it seems that straighten from Bergmanus was enough to cause a 0 and even out that battle. So it looks like they're going to be going one more time. Dominic Bergmanus and Jason Cote. It'll be good to see them get another shot at trying to put down a cleaner run than they did at previous. So that's going to be really nice to see. Now it'll be interesting to see if they go right up next or if we might get our Owen Magner and Brandon Carter battle. We're not sure quite yet, but make sure to stay tuned. This is a really good event so far. Scottish Virtual Drift Series. Definitely a pleasure to be commentating over this event because it is exciting as it could be. And once again, as much as I have been pushing this quite a bit, make sure to head over to www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com as Season 2 tickets are live for a full event or a full season as well as single event tickets. So make sure to head over there because they will sell out and they will sell out fast. Alrighty, here we go, though. We're going to be sending them once more. Jason Cote and Dominic Bergmanus, two very fantastic drivers, now getting a second chance at putting down a much stronger set of runs. But here we go, Bergmanus in the lead position with Jason Cote, trying to follow in, falling back off the bank once more with Bergmanus, throwing down the best lead line he can. Look at that, though, putting down the pressure now is Jason Cote, with Bergmanus throwing down a really nice lead run with Cote. Wow, big lunge, gets up onto the door of Dominic Bergmanus. Beautiful job in that E36, big transition here. Maybe a bit too much angle from Jason Cote, choking him up, possibly losing that proximity here with Bergmanus throwing down a beautiful lead line, finishing out the run stronger, both of these guys.
Awesome to see Jason making up for the mistake he made in the first set of runs and being able to control that decel and actually make that beautiful lunge on that door.
For sure, but here we go. Second half of the battle. Bergmanus in the chase with Cote in the lead. Here we go. Cote throwing down a beautiful initiation coming up onto the bank here. Let's see how they do on this outside zone. Bergmanus not quite as much proximity as he should have. But with Cote coming down the bank, nice and aggressive here through these touch and goes. Nice and down into the outside zone. Wow! Big correction from Mr. Cote with Bergmanus trying to stay up onto the door. That E36 looking really good, though, through this last section of the course of Bergmanus making quite a big mistake and following back through that last corner. Man, an even harder to battle to decide here. It's going to be a difficult call to make.
We saw some mistakes from both drivers, but just it all depends on who had the bigger mistakes. It's definitely going to be a tough call to make.
Absolutely, because we did see that Bergmanus fell off through that section, but Cote did make quite a big correction coming through the first decel zone, so it'll be interesting to see how they do. You can see them bumping each other. It's not bumper cars, gentlemen. This is competition. Don't want to wreck the car.
Pro cars have crumple zones for a reason, right?
Fair enough. Bumper budget and all.
I know I got a couple broken pieces of Rome Charpentier's car sitting in my room.
Oh man, that's cool. You gotta send me one of those.
I even got a Garage-tastic steering input shaft mount that he was about ready to throw away. I'm like, nope, I'll take it. It's anodized red. I'll just put it up on the shelf.
Well, there you go. Beard showing us that, you know, cars getting wrecked can be a good thing.
Yeah, from Rome's battle in Englishtown, one of my buddies, Dustin, he's got the wheel that was damaged in that collision signed. Who was he battling? It was the other BMW.
Travis Reeder, I believe.
Yeah, he wrote Reeder was here, and then Rome signed it.
We love the comedy that goes on at these events. It's super fun to see everybody having a good time out here competing. Should be seeing what the judges decide here any moment here between Dominic Bergmanus and Jason Cote. Two very interesting runs to pick apart and see who did better and who did worse. Definitely, once again, do not envy the judges when it comes to calls like this. I mean, it was definitely going to be a lesser of two evil calls to see who did the least of the mistakes here. But here we go. Slide him left for Bergmanus, slide him right for Cote, or keep him right in the middle for one more time, and that's unanimous. Dominic Bergmanus gets the win and moves on to top 16, which means we should be moving on now to our Owen Magner and Brandon Carter battle.
Glad to see the judges taking their time and really analyzing the runs to make sure they're making the right calls. It's always a great thing to see. Some watching the stream, some guys might get a little impatient watching it, but it's a great thing to see to make the competition fair for everybody.
For sure. And I know we appreciate up here in the commentary booth, but I'm sure that the chat and everybody watching also appreciates when we get good calls like that and judges who take their time. But here we go. We're jumping right into it. Owen Magner in the lead position with Brandon Carter in the chase. And Brandon Carter failing to initiate and contact made with Mr. Owen Magner. Magner, though, going to be trying to finish out this run going down the straight section of the course here. Big transition from Brandon Carter as he over-rotates his S15. Magner just throwing down a beautiful lead line, the lead line that could have been if it wasn't for the contact at the start with Brandon Carter making quite a few mistakes. And another bit of contact. Man, these drivers can't keep it off of each other. They keep hitting each other. I wonder if there's some bad blood on track. Man, these guys definitely going at it. I mean, every time you're pushing for those limits, you find them pretty quickly. I know I've had a few moments in competition where sometimes I just kind of forget that my car has a limit, and if I toss it too hard, it just kind of goes, out from under me.
Exactly, too, and these cars so aggressive, and you lose track sometimes, and you have to drive them a certain way.
Absolutely, but here we go. It's going to be Mr. Carter in the lead position, but Magner in the chase. Now, Magner probably knows that he's got quite a bit of an advantage here, so he's going to be a little bit hesitant to get too close to Carter. As Carter, though, running a decent lead line coming into the straight section of the course. Big transitions here, but transitions too early there. It looks like he misses an outside clipping zone. Big angle here from Carter, though, transitioning nice and tight to this outside section of the course here with, just one hell of a battle so far. I mean, you can definitely see Magner was being a bit cautious and trying to stay back a little bit, just trying to, secure his win, secure the bag, so they say. And it'll be good to see what kind of call these judges come up with here. But I think we kind of have an idea of where it's going. What do you think, Beard?
The chase driver is just playing it very cautious, making sure that he was there, keeping an active chase, but not too close to cause himself a zero, and just doing the bare minimum to get it done to move on to the next round.
Absolutely. Tons of strategies being shown off today, but here we go. We're going to get ready to vote on who takes that win. They're going back to the pits. And here we go. And it looks like we've already got our decision. Just kidding. But yeah, you can see all three judges have decided that Owen Magner will get the win. Unfortunately for Brandon Carter, not the result he wanted. I know that man has been practicing his butt off there, trying to get this layout down. But unfortunately, it didn't come through for him. And that'll be all we see of Brandon Carter this weekend as Owen Magner moves on to the top 16. And I believe that means we will be moving on to our next group of drivers. And man, looking at this here, we're gonna have some really good battles here. Definitely going to be interesting to see. We have Tom Edgecombe versus Connor Falvey, Jason McCleary versus Cameron Mustard, Marcel Studzinski versus Mitchell Gibbons, and Graham Stewart, and Kobe Wells at the end, which I believe, though, yeah, you can see here that Graham Stewart did not show up, and Kobe Wells will be getting a bye run on that last run, but definitely going to be a really great group of drivers. And you can see here our top 16, we've got them lined up already. Like, I mean, we've got a lot of good drivers here in the top 16. I mean, yeah, Dan Paul, Josh Byrne, Eridas Sadowskis, Lewis Monks, Daniel Andrejab, Chris Kessler, Brendan Stacy, Simon Sandman. I mean, that whole first side of the bracket looking really good. But here we go. Tom Edgecombe in the little Miata that could, and Connor Falvey in his S15. Connor Falvey, a very talented driver on the sim and in real life, and Tom Edgecombe here with one of the fastest little cars on the track here. That little MX-5 definitely one to watch out for, because it's quite quick because of the short wheelbase, and two, because of how small it is, sometimes it can be really hard to chase. So here we go, Tom Edgecombe in the lead position, throwing down a nice initiation with Connor Falvey in the chase here. Look at that, Edgecombe right up onto that bank. That little Miata that could, definitely throwing down a really good lead line with Falvey now putting on the pressure, coming down off the bank. There's a little bit of a tire drop for Mr. Edgecombe, but it could have been caused by that little bit of contact there, with Edgecombe looking really solid coming into this outside touch and go. Beautiful job from Mr. Falvey getting up onto the door of that Miata, pushing down, now putting the pressure on and finishing out the run strong of both of these guys. Definitely a very solid first run, and we'll take you to the second run and see how they do.
Falvey doing a great job keeping proximity on that door. I mean, that catching the door of that Miata is just, there's such a small footprint on that door. It's hard to plant the car perfectly there.
Absolutely. And I do see chat. I know that there's a couple of complaints about the stream lag. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that. We've been facing some issues all weekend. So we're just trying to deliver the best stream that we can with what we've got. But here we go. Falvey looking really good in the lead position with Tom Edgecombe trying to put on the pressure here. Falvey, though, definitely not a slouch when it comes to a lead run. He's doing down a really good textbook lead run with Edgecombe, cutting the line just a little bit, trying to gain that proximity. A little Miata that could, now putting on the pressure on that S15. Look at this, Connor Falvey, big transition with Edgecombe looking really good in that chase position, trying to stay up onto the door and finishing out solid are both of these drivers. Wow, that battle got really good really quickly, Beard. What do you think? Give us your notes.
Very close call on the two. I mean, there's proximity gains and losses on both drivers, and it's going to come down to inches on this one. I mean, both drivers throwing down great lead runs and great in the follow position. It'll be a very interesting judging call on this. I mean, I could even possibly go to an OMT.
Absolutely. Definitely some trade-offs, couple of mistakes from both of the drivers, but one of the more aggressive battles we've seen today. I mean, Falvey and Edgecombe, they're both very, very talented drivers and have some very, very good chassis and very good car setup as well. Tom Edgecombe and that Miata pushing a, you never really thought you'd see an NA Miata in pro competition, but here it is, putting it on doors and showing everybody that just because you're little don't mean you can't make some big moves.
Making that little motor absolutely scream around this track.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure it is still a 4-cylinder, which is really interesting. I think that thing, I can't remember exactly what the specs are, but I do know I think it is still a 4-cylinder. It might be an SR, but definitely really cool to see a little 4-cylinder still coming out, showing up and showing out against top drivers like Connor Falvey. Connor Falvey, definitely a really, really good driver. I've had the pleasure of seeing him battle every round that I've commentated so far, and every time he does not ever stumble. He's definitely one hell of a driver and definitely puts it all out there on track, for better or for worse sometimes, but definitely leaves it all out there. Tom Edgecombe, though, putting up one hell of a fight again. The little Miata that could, that we like to call it. Super, super fun driver to watch. Super fun car to watch go around this track. But it's really, really, really impressive, to be honest, seeing that tiny little chassis do what it does.
No, absolutely it is. I mean, me personally have competed against Connor Falvey in the past. One thing I know about him, he's a very strategic driver. that he studies who he's going up against, and knows where to excel, and knows where to push, and knows where to hang back. A very strategic driver.
Super cool
which I
to
believe
see for sure.
Yeah, which I believe comes from a lot from his IRL experience.
Absolutely. He's definitely one talented driver for both the sim and real life when it comes to driving. I mean, he is just absolutely, he's got the experience. He's got an experience that not a lot of our guys do. So it's really interesting to see a real life driver come in and do what he can here. But beautiful job here from both of these drivers. I mean, they both put up one hell of a fight. I can tell, you can see by how long it's taking to get to the judges' screen that they have a lot to look at. For sure. The judges, I mean, they have one of the hardest jobs in drifting is to judge. So it's going to be interesting to see what their call is for sure. Definitely some aggressive runs. They were up on the bank nice and deep. I mean, they had some really good transitions. I mean, you had that little bit of contact from Falvey onto Tom's door, which caused Tom to drop a tire during that straight section of the course. But I mean, otherwise, there weren't really a lot of mistakes. Doing our best, by the way. Once again, like I said, we do see your comments. We do see the live chat. We know that the stream has been suffering from a bit of lag, and we do sincerely apologize, but we are working on it. And if nothing else, Series 2 will be a massive jump in quality for sure, because we'll have all that time to get things sorted out. So thank you, everybody, for being patient with the streams. We know we know that it is sometimes a little bit lacking when it comes to the quality, but we are doing our best, and we love our streamer, Mr. Blackout. He does a phenomenal job given what he's got. So here we go. You can see all three judges now have decided that Connor Falvey will be getting the win, which means, unfortunately, Tom Edgecombe goes out in the top 32. That is unfortunate that we don't get to see the Miata go any farther, but Connor Falvey, definitely a well-deserved win in that S15. A beautiful, beautiful showing. And we're going to be moving on next to Jason McCleary and Luke Troutman. Go. Gonna get them lined up here any moment now. Love these beautiful shots, by the way. This B-roll of the track, we get to see a nice look at what our track looks like for today. I mean, you get to see some of the tire marks there already laid down in practice, and our battles for sure. So it's gonna be really awesome to see. Super cool to watch, and yeah, for sure. We're doing our best when it comes to the stream, and I think it's going really good. But for sure, definitely, once again, I know I keep beating this over your guys' head, but if you really want to get into SVDS Series 2, go to the website, www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com. Our tickets are still live. You can get single round tickets if you want to just do one or two, or you can get a whole series if you want to make that commitment and fight for a championship. So make sure to head over there, get your tickets now, because they do sell out, and they do sell out quickly. So make sure that you're on top of that, and try and secure your seat while you still can.
Great series to get into, whether it's your first time competing or you've been competing for a while. It's a great series to get into, just get that seat time in competition.
Oh, and it looks like we might have a buy run here. It looks like Jason McCleary did not show up, so Luke Troutman here is running a beautiful buy run here as he's getting into these outside zones nice and deep, nice and solid. Look at that. Beautiful angle coming down the hill out into this touch and go here. Big transition now he's going to be doing through this through the small decel zone. Just a little reset zone for him to get the car settled and finish out the run strong, as he does, and a beautiful buy run from him. So I believe that means we're going to be moving on to our next battle, which will be Marcel Studzinski and Mitchell Gibbons. Now, Mitchell Gibbons, also a pretty talented driver who drives in real life, though. He's making the interesting decision to drive a car that he does not drive in real life, as he's driving this A80 Supra here on the sim, where in real life, I believe he drives an S13. So definitely an interesting lineup of vehicles here with Marcel Studzinski going with that tried and true. I believe that's an S15. I mean, you can't go wrong with an S chassis, especially for drifting here, with Mitchell Gibbons choosing another popular chassis as they've become here with that A80 Supra. So going to be a very great battle to see, as Mitchell Gibbons, a very competitive driver, but Marcel Studzinski, definitely no slouch. He's not going to go down. He's not going to take a loss lying down here, so he's going to fight. Look at that. Beautiful job of Mitchell Gibbons right on the door through that outside zone. Beautiful job on the bank here from Mr. Gibbons, putting the pressure on to Marcel Studzinski. Big angle coming down the hill from that S15 of Studzinski with Mitchell Gibbons all over the door. Look at this big transition here from Mitchell Gibbons. Look at that, all over, putting the pressure on, finishing the run strong for that first half of this battle. Wow, Beard, man, what do you think of that one?
Absolutely beautiful run from both drivers, and Marcel, he's got a lot of ground to make up. He's got to keep that proximity, not make any mistakes in that follow position to be able to continue on. I mean, that was just an incredible chase position by Mr. Gibbons. I mean, phenomenal run by both drivers. I mean, you can't have a good chase without a phenomenal lead.
For sure, there's a lot of places on this track that can cause some problems for some drivers. So a big initiation, nicely done, looking beautiful on that outside clipping zone, nicely done. Big transition here with Studzinski falling back a little bit, doesn't quite have the proximity that Mitchell Gibbons did, but Mitchell Gibbons looking really solid in that lead position. Big transition coming down the hill, and oh, he taps the wall and goes off into the bank. Oh man, that might be a saving grace for Marcel Studzinski, as he was looking like he was going to be a little bit lacking when it came to the chase run, but he's been given a saving grace possibly with Mitchell Gibbons going off the wall into the embankment there. So that is quite unfortunate for such a talented driver like Mitchell Gibbons, but despite being a pro driver, we do all make mistakes. It's very hard to see Mitchell Gibbons make a mistake like that, because we do know that he is a very, very phenomenal driver, but so unfortunately, the track sometimes wins.
It's always a huge heartbreak, huge upset when you see when you as a driver have had an amazing chase, and then you're going up to your lead and you make one simple mistake that is just absolutely catastrophic.
Absolutely, but that's part of the allure of drifting, is that anything can happen. Really, anything at all can happen, and being that this is controlled chaos, a lot of the times you're barely in control of said chaos, and that chaos will eventually creep up on you. So here we go, swipe him left for Studzinski, and I didn't even get time to say swipe him right for Mitchell Gibbons, because they're swiping left. All three judges say Marcel Studzinski gets to move on to our top 16, which means we're going to be moving on to our bye run for Kobe Wells, which I believe he'll be doing here any moment, unless Graham Stewart has shown up, which I don't believe he has. Kobe Wells, for sure, yeah, you see him there lined up by himself, is going to get a bye run, and we're going to rest our voices and let you guys listen to this thing take its lap. Alrighty, and as he comes around the last corner, this will be the end of Kobe Wells' bye run, making that the last driver of this last group of top 32, which means we'll be moving on to our top 16 momentarily. But before that, we're going to take a short ad break as we try and get the stream sorted and fixed. So if the stream does go down, if the stream does go down, it will come back up. We're just going to try and sort this lag for you while we have the break between top 32 and top 16. So enjoy this ad break and check out some of our beautiful partners while we try and get this sorted. Thank you very much.